sky. The Falcon 9 rocket fueling operation is well underway. The launch escape system is armed, and that means Crew Dragon is prepared to launch itself away from the Falcon 9 rocket in the case of an emergency on the pad
is armed,
or after liftoff.
Crew Dragon
so far,
is prepared
operations look and sound as
Falcon
expected,
9
and we are
rocket
just
in the
counting
case of
down
an emergency
to that
system
liftoff at
is
9:03 p.m.
liftoff.
Eastern
Dragon
time.
is prepared to
Operations
launch
look
itself
and
away
sound.
from the
You can
Falcon
see
9
the
rocket.
the steam as it comes off the condensation, as it comes off the rocket. I've noted in past launches that as it fills with fuel, the entire first stage begins to let off, and it kind of gives you a marker of exactly where in the rocket they
condensing the air around it. And of course, in Florida, we've got lots of moisture in our air to condense.
We sure do. There's some onshore flow, a weather pattern that is bringing moist air off the Atlantic Ocean. And so with this lit up, we should see a lot of this condensation coming off this particular rocket. The mission is the continuation of rotational crew flights to the International Space Station from U.S. soil on private rockets and spacecraft. This would not be possible without the success of NASA SpaceX Demo 2 test flight last year and the safe delivery of Crew 1 astronauts, including my co-host Shannon Walker, to the space station last fall for a long-duration mission. Crew 1 is back home, of course, and we have one of the mission specialists with us right here today. As you're counting down, we're only 21 minutes out from launch, Shannon. What is going through your head in this moment?
Boy, this is really, things get even more intense and more exciting. You can feel the rocket being fueled. You know you don't have too much longer, so you're really thinking about what you're going to need to do as soon as those engines light.
T-minus 21 minutes and counting. The excitement levels rising for the crew inside. Crew Dragon Commander Raja Chari, he'll be making his first trip to space. And as commander, he is responsible for all phases of flight, from launch to re-entry. Chari is a colonel in the U.S. Air Force. He holds degrees in astronautical engineering and aeronautics. Chari is also a combat veteran, having flown F-15E aircraft during Operation Iraqi Freedom and deployments in the Korean Peninsula. As a test pilot, he has accumulated more than 2,500 hours of flight time in various military aircraft. His pilot is Tom Marshburn, sitting right to his right. You see Chari there on the left. Marshburn is suiting up for his third space flight. As pilot, he is responsible for spacecraft systems and performance. He previously flew on the Space Shuttle Endeavour and STS-127 and on the Russian Soyuz
load complete.
in Expedition 3435, while helping to assemble the International Space Station on STS-127. In that flight, Marshburn performed 3 spacewalks totaling almost 19 hours. It was just go, go, go. A North Carolina native holds degrees in physics and medicine. In fact, he was an emergency medicine doctor.
Yes, he was.
Mission specialist Kayla Barron, she's about to make her first trip to space. In this role, she will work closely with the commander and pilot to monitor the spacecraft during the dynamic phases of flight. The Washington State native has degrees in nuclear engineering and systems engineering. As a submarine warfare officer, she was a member of the first class of women commissioned into the submarine community, and she deployed 3 times while serving aboard the USS Maine. And lastly, on the end there in this shot is mission specialist Matthias Maurer. He will be making his debut spaceflight. He will be the second European astronaut to fly on Crew Dragon. Maurer is from Sankt Wendel, Germany, and is a doctor of materials science and engineering. He is the inventor of more than 10 patent applications, and he joined the European Astronaut Corps in 2015. Maurer has spent 16 days in underwater training during a NASA Extreme Environment Mission Operations Challenge, and he's trained in sea survival training off the coast of China. And an interesting note about Maurer, he will become the 600th person in space. 600.
Yes, even though all 4 crew members will be traveling to space at the same time, we have to assign numbers, and he is number 600.
He's landed on that big milestone. Chari gets 599. Barron is 601. What was Shannon Walker?
I believe I was number 518, but don't quote me. I could be wrong, but it's in the early 500s.
We'll take a look at the NASA history books and
Yes.
we'll figure it out. Each of these 4 crew members will join Expedition 66 once they arrive at the International Space Station, where Anton Shkaplerov is currently commander of the space station. You spent some time as the commander?
I spent a very brief amount of time as commander. Right at the end of our crew's time up there for about 2 weeks, I was commander after the Soyuz crew left.
All right. It was short,
Sweet.
but you were in charge.
I was in
Short
charge.
and Sweet. All right, let's go over to OSB2 and check in with Marie Lewis. Marie?
All right, thank you, Daryl. I am here with NASA Administrator Bill Nelson. Thank you so much for being here tonight.
What a pleasure. What a great evening. Looks like the rain has given us a break.
Yeah, it's clearing up. We've got a great view of the pad, and this must bring back quite a few memories from you. You launched from Pad 39A some years ago, and this is your first crew launch here as the NASA Administrator. What has this experience been like for you so far?
Well, just to have an opportunity to try to offer some leadership to this fantastic organization where the impossible is routine. And it's just such a tremendous organization. It's been voted the best place to work in the federal government for the last 9 years straight.
Stage 2
So
launch load
is
has
it
begun.
any wonder that everybody's excited all the time? And here's another reason what we're going to do tonight.
Absolutely. And you launched on the Space Shuttle 61C years ago. How did that experience change you, and how do you think it's going to change the astronauts that are going to space for the first time tonight?
It happens to every space flyer when you look back at Earth from the position of Earth orbit and you see this beautiful creation, our home, the planet, suspended in the middle of nothing. It makes you want to be a better steward of our planet. It's extraordinary. As you orbit the Earth every 90 minutes, and then, of course, the properties of microgravity in space. We're learning how to make new materials, new drugs. All of these things are going to come in a commercial operation that we're taking off the surface of the Earth and we're taking to space, and now we'll take it to the moon, and then who knows, we're going to take it on out into the cosmos.
And speaking of the success of this program, years ago, over 10 years ago, this program started. You were a part of that. There were a lot of skeptics at the time in the aerospace industry about shifting this low Earth orbit to commercial industry and this partnership with SpaceX. And here we are now. What does the success of this say about what we can do when we do it together?
And still, today, people have difficulty making that transition, but the proof's in the pudding. And the pudding is out there on Launch Pad 39A right now. A commercial operation with considerable NASA help and oversight, because when it comes to the safety of our astronauts, NASA's going to be all over it. There's the proof. A very successful commercial operation.
NASA Administrator Bill Nelson, thank you so much for your time. Daryl, we'll send it back to you.
All right. Thank you, Marie, and Administrator Nelson. Some good words there about our future exploration plans. Want to remind you, if you listen on radio, you can catch the frequencies for our local radio. If you're in the area watching out at one of the locations, you can check it out on local amateur VHF radio frequency 146.940 and UHF radio frequency 444.925. You can see it on your screen there. So if you need to step away from whatever you're viewing it on, be it your laptop, your tablet, you turn on your portable radio and you'll be able to listen in. Now, as we get ready to launch in the final few minutes, we want to take a look at some pictures that have some particularly significant meaning to the crew. Here they are, Crew 3 with their booster, a pre-flown booster. Crew 3 will fly aboard a new Dragon capsule, but that booster is pre-flown. This one launched CRS-22 to the International Space Station 5 months ago, and looks like they're giving it some love.
Yeah, it's always a good idea to hug your booster. It's pretty special to get to actually go touch the rocket that's going to take you into space.
Well, it's about to pin them back into their seats here in just a few minutes. At the time of launch, 9:03 p.m. Eastern, the space station will be flying 258 miles over the North Atlantic, about east of Newfoundland. You can see here the track of the International Space Station, and then from that moment, it will be catching up to the International Space Station once it leaves the coast of Florida. And with T-minus 12 minutes and 30 seconds until liftoff, we want to focus now on the pad as we proceed through the final stretch of the countdown. We'll turn it over to Hawthorne to take us through the launch and ascent. John?
Thanks, Daryl. It's just over 12 minutes, and everything is still looking good for launch of Falcon 9 and Dragon. Falcon 9 did begin propellant loading on time at T-minus 35 minutes. The RP-1 fuel loading on the second stage, you can see up at the top, the white cylinder at the very top of the stack. Fuel loading on that stage is complete. Fuel loading is continuing on the first stage. We're about 80% of the way full, and it will finish up at T-minus 6 minutes. The densified liquid oxygen loading is also underway on the first stage. We're about 3/4 of the way full, and we began loading liquid oxygen on the second stage about 5 minutes ago. Now, liquid oxygen loading is the last thing to finish. We'll wrap up first stage at T-minus 3 minutes, second stage at T-minus 2 minutes. Coming up, we're going to do final checks of various engine systems. Our thrust vector controllers are going to be moved. We call them TVC wiggles, where we move the engines back and forth slightly. We'll also be moving throttle valves on the engines to make sure that they are responding to commands from the ground in preparation for flight. The Dragon mission director has reported their team is working no issues. We're going to hear from Dragon in about a minute here on the countdown. Their comm checks are complete. You can see the access arm is retracted. The launch escape system is armed. Crew is strapped in and they're ready to go. They'll get their final instructions at T-minus 10 minutes. They'll be told to configure their displays for launch, and that setup will give the crew insight into how the launch is proceeding and provide them constant updates on vehicle health. At T-minus 5 minutes, we'll be in terminal count, and Dragon will go to internal power, and we'll hear continued call-outs on the countdown net as we get closer to liftoff. And finally, easy to say, range is go, weather is go. So right now, Courtney, we're coming up on T-minus 10 minutes. One of the things that we'll hear on Dragon flights that we don't hear on other ones is the abort call-outs during the countdown. Can you enlighten us a little bit on what goes on with that?
Yeah, John, great to hear that everything is going well. We're continuing to track that Dragon and Falcon 9 are ready for launch. But just in case anything were to happen, Dragon is fully prepared to initiate an abort. Upon liftoff, you'll be hearing number and letter combinations on Dragon's trip uphill, which will mark different abort zones throughout the flight, the numbers signifying the stage of flight and the letter as the abort
Dragon
zone.
SpaceX,
The first
confirmed crew displays are configured for launch.
Copy. Endurance displays are configured for launch.
And copy that. Crew 3, we are honored to have you at the controls today as the first crew to fly aboard Dragon Endurance. We wish you a great mission, field look, Godspeed, and enjoy the ride.
Thanks, Sarah. And sometimes when you try to fly on Halloween, you get a trick instead of a treat. But how honored and appropriate to get to fly Endurance on Veterans Day. We're proud and honored to represent the SpaceX and NASA teams as we head to the ISS to live and work on groundbreaking science for the next 6 months.
And there we have it, some final words from the crew aboard Dragon, and a good luck from the Corps here on the ground to the crew. John, with everything still looking good, that next milestone of engine chill is coming up next.
That's right. The next major event that we have is T-minus 7 minutes. It's what we call the engine chill event. The big thing that happens there is we open the pre-valves that feed the Merlin 1D engines. So super chilled liquid oxygen will be trickling through the inlet to the Merlin turbo pumps, and that'll help chill those turbo pumps down before we hit them with the full flow of liquid oxygen during the ignition sequence in the last 3 seconds before T0. So what we'll hear is a call out says stage 1 engine chill has started. We'll be monitoring all 9 engines to make sure the aux fuel pre-valves are all open. We're also chilling down second stage engine as we get ready for launch. And you'll hear an additional chill down of the second stage called out once we get into flight a little bit before 2 minutes into flight, when we'll do a final chill of the upper stage engine turbo pumps. And if you might be able to hear behind me here in Hawthorne, a lot of energy. Folks are gathered around Mission Control Center, watching on the big monitors as we get ready for launch in just over 7 minutes and 40 seconds. Now, in addition, as I mentioned before, as we get ready at 7 minutes to open the pre-valves and begin the engine chill sequence, we're also getting ready then to move into check-out reviews. The fuel trim valves are being cycled. Make sure that those are working. We use that to throttle the amount of propellant going through the first stage down to the engines as we go through flight. Coming up on T-minus 7 minutes, we'll listen into the countdown now.
Stage 1 engine chill has begun.
So you've heard it. We're through another milestone. Next one coming up here at 6 minutes.
Yep, that's right, John. And that RP1 kerosene is filling that second stage. We're anticipating a little longer for that first stage to be completely filled with that RP1 refined kerosene. Liquid oxygen will continue to flow through the first and second stages up until the final few minutes before launch. That next call will be that the stage 1 RP load is complete, coming up now in about 15 seconds.
Stage 1
We'll
RP1
stand by
load
for that
complete.
call now. And confirmation, we have a complete fill of RP1 on the first stage. Now the first and second stage are completely filled with that RP1 kerosene. Now just under 6 minutes to launch until that instantaneous launch window today. The next milestone will be for Dragon to transition to configure for terminal count, and that's when Dragon's onboard computers will take control of the vehicle, and Dragon will be on internal power, no longer relying on those lines from the ground. From there, Falcon 9 tanks will pressurize for Strongback Retract. That'll be another visual milestones. The clamps just below Dragon's trunk will open, and the Strongback will tilt back just 2 degrees, then right after liftoff, back to 45 degrees. Again, RP1 kerosene filled on both the first and second stages. Liquid oxygen continues to flow through on the first and second stages. Standing by now for that call that Dragon has transitioned into terminal count.
Dragon isn't configured for terminal count. Falcon 9 propellant tanks are pressurizing for Strongback Retract.
All right, John, some good calls. Dragon is now on internal power, and Falcon 9 propellant tanks are pressurizing for Strongback Retract.
Yes, thanks, Courtney. What we're waiting here now is the call out for Strongback is retracting. This will be a 2-step process. First, we'll spend about half a minute opening up the arms that clamp around the second stage. And there's the call out that the sequence has begun. So we'll slowly open up the arms around the second stage. We might get a view if we've got a close-up of the camera. Then once the arms are open, the Strongback alongside Falcon 9 will retract about 2 degrees away from the rocket. It'll stay there all the way through liftoff, and then as Courtney mentioned, at liftoff, hydraulics will then pull it down to about a 45-degree position above ground, and that'll give us the final clearance. It's that Strongback right now that is providing the liquids, the gas connections, the electrical connections to the launch vehicle, especially the second stage. We're hearing some of the venting of the vehicle as we are pressurizing and depressurizing at various steps. As we get ready, you'll see a burst of depressurization there on the second stage.
That's right, John. We're also anxiously awaiting the stage 1 liquid oxygen is complete on the first stage. You should hear that call coming up here shortly.
Stage 1 LOX load complete.
And confirmation that the stage 1 LOX load is complete.
Right now, LOX is going to continue loading on second
Dragon
stage.
is
That'll
internal
wrap up
count
at
and is on
T-minus 2
internal
minutes.
power.
Dragon's gone internal power. Now again, at T-minus 2 minutes, we'll finish liquid oxygen loading. And then a typical event, we will drain the propellant lines that go along the Strongback, and we'll typically get a large cloud of condensation at about 90 seconds before launch as we see the propellants come back down off of the Strongback to prepare for liftoff.
Stage 2 LOX load complete. Dragon is in auto idle.
All right, Falcon 9. With that, Falcon 9 is fully fueled. We have fuel on both the first and second stages,
Gas
and
closeouts
both
is
stages
about to
are filled with
expect
liquid,
loud venting.
oxygen. Dragon is also in auto idle. The flight computers on board Dragon maintaining their calculations, standing by for the T-0 mark. That next call out will be that Dragon is in countdown, standing by now for that call.
FTS is armed. Falcon 9 is in startup and is now controlling. Dragon is in countdown.
All right, the final minute before launch. Just 47 seconds to go. Everything is ready for an on-time launch today.
Go for launch.
Endurance copies. Go for launch.
Ground teams are ready, and Crew 3 is ready for liftoff, heading for that instantaneous launch window. "20 seconds to liftoff.
T-minus 15 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition. And liftoff. God. 3.
Copy, 1 Alpha.
Laboratory in orbit. The International Space Station. Vehicle is pitching downrange.
Stage 1 propulsion is nominal.
And that's the call we want to hear. Good performance on that first stage so far.
T plus 30 seconds. Falcon 9 powered by 9 Merlin 1Ds. Pushing Dragon into low Earth orbit on the way to the International Space Station.
Power and telemetry nominal. Stage 1 throttle down.
And we're into the throttle bucket in preparation for max Q. Getting ready to throttle the engines back up.
Stage 1 throttle up. Execute.
Stage 1 Bravo.
Copy,
All
1
right,
Bravo.
that 1 Bravo call is for the second stage abort mode on the first stage. That is going to take them through the first stage burning just before the second stage activates off the coast of North Carolina. That next milestone coming up shortly will be MVAC chill underway.
MVAC chill underway.
There's the call out. We're getting the second stage engine turbo pumps ready for their ignition coming up in just a little more than 40 seconds. We've got the major events coming up here shortly. We're going to get main engine cutoff at 2 minutes, 36 seconds. The stages will separate, and then the second stage will ignite, carrying Dragon on its way into low Earth orbit. Everything continues to look good.
Stage 1 throttle down.
Stage 1 throttling down at 3.5 Gs. Getting ready for MECO.
MECO. Stage separation.
Stage 2 Alpha.
Copy, 2 Alpha.
All right, we have ignition of the second stage. And you saw that green flash of that T-Teb fluid. And Crew 3 is now on their way to the International Space Station.
On the left side, first stage, you can see the titanium grid fins coming out, the streaks of the exhaust of the second stage engine going by, and the lights of Florida down in the background.
Acquisition signal.
That's right, and on your right, that second stage glowing. With that red color we like to see, indicating everything is proceeding well. Now 3 minutes and 40 seconds into flight, everything's still on track.
Acquisition of signal Bermuda.
Dragon, SpaceX, trajectory nominal.
That call out of acquisition of signal Bermuda, that just means the Bermuda ground station has the signals from the second stage of Dragon and Falcon 9.
Now currently on the first stage, we are coasting to apogee, beginning a slow 180-degree pitch, so that when the vehicle comes back through the atmosphere, the engines are pointed down towards the drone ship when we do the relight. Relight for the entry burn will come at T plus 7 minutes and 30 seconds, 3 minutes from now. Currently, the first stage about 166 kilometers up, continuing to coast to apogee for another brief period.
Meanwhile, that second stage still propelling the Crew 3 astronauts up the eastern seaboard, and it will continue to fire. That's about a 6-minute burn to deliver the astronauts into orbit.
Dragon, SpaceX, trajectory nominal.
Endurance copies.
And a good call out from the ground teams.
I always love to hear trajectory nominal, and the crew gets to hear it too on the call out.
Acquisition of signal New Hampshire.
And the New Hampshire tracking station has acquired the telemetry signal. Five minutes and 30 seconds into flight today, everything is still proceeding nominal.
And Courtney, right now on the second stage, it's such a large amount of propellant. It takes a while for second stage to really accelerate. The crew right now,
Dragon,
looks like they're pulling about.
Trajectory nominal.
Looks like we're pulling about 1.5 Gs.
Yeah, right on cue, those check-ins on the second stage performance. Everything is still looking good on that second stage. The next milestone on the second stage will be SECO. And we're getting our views now from inside of Endurance, our first views of the crew on their way to the International Space Station.
1 minute away from entry burn of the first stage. Hopefully we'll get a camera view back on the first stage as we light the 3 engines to come back into the Earth's atmosphere.
Dragon, SpaceX, trajectory nominal.
Endurance copies.
Another good check-in with the crew, confirming everything is still looking good so far on both ends. That next milestone coming at 7 minutes and 30 seconds will be entry burn start.
Currently waiting for the call out from the SpaceX propulsion responsible engineer that the 3 Merlin 1D engines have lit to begin slowing down the first stage prior to entering the Earth's atmosphere.
Stage 2 FTS is safe.
Stage 1 entry burn is in startup.
We've heard stage 1 entry burn is startup. We've lit the center engine. We've got the 2 side engines, 3 engines running. This is a 27-second burn. This will slow the first stage down. We'll then enter the atmosphere where the grid fins begin to work, and then we will fire the single center engine as we approach the drone ship.
Stage 1 entry burn shutdown.
Confirmation entry burn shutdown.
And meanwhile, that second stage is less than a minute away from cutoff.
Stage 2 in terminal guidance. Dragon, SpaceX, nominal orbit insertion.
And the second stage has done its job. Our Crew 3 astronauts have been delivered into orbit.
Stage 1 landing leg deploy.
Landing leg deploy.
Endurance copies. We feel Pico and SILE confirms we are in space.
Dragon SpaceX launch escape system is disarmed.
Stage 1 landing is confirmed.
And we've heard the call out. Stage 1 landing is confirmed.
Loss of signal at Cape and acquisition of signal Newfoundland.
Some great call outs. That next milestone is spacecraft separation around 12 minutes into flight. Getting a view now of the Crew 3 astronauts from a camera aboard Dragon. The crew now coasting in low Earth orbit, still attached to that second stage. Again, that next milestone coming in about 2 minutes. That second stage will separate, and Crew Dragon will be flying free.
And Courtney, right now, the Falcon 9 second stage is still attached to the Dragon capsule. When it's time, Dragon will command separation from the Falcon 9 second stage. Right now, that second stage, under control of its flight computer, is essentially going through a sequence to idle the second stage, make sure we're not pulsing any of the cold gas thrusters, the engine has been purged out. Essentially anything that might cause motion of the second stage, we're making sure that all of that is eliminated so that when Dragon separates, it's got a very stable platform to move away from. I believe the cheering in the background, they're getting video back of Falcon 9 first stage on drone ship as we get ready for Dragon separation.
That's right, John. Separation coming just 10 seconds from now. Standing by for that call.
Expected loss of signal, Wallops.
Dragon, we are standing by. There we go.
Dragon separation confirmed.
Endurance copy, CSA.
Dragon, CE, welcome to orbit. Hope you enjoyed the ride from F9. Dragon will take you from here. Safe travels. Stand by for words from LD.
And Endurance, LD here. On behalf of the SpaceX launch and recovery teams, it was a pleasure to be part of this mission with you. Enjoy your holidays amongst the stars. We'll be waving as you fly by. Cheers.
Wow. Incredible views of the crew now in orbit on their way
Thanks,
to the
guys.
International
Endurance,
Space
it was a great
Station.
ride, better than we imagined.
And some final words from the crew as well. There they are, our Crew 3 astronauts. Now in orbit. That next milestone will be the deployment of the nose cone. That'll be about a 5-minute process. It'll expose those forward bulkhead Dracos and will prepare them for checkouts as well.
Courtney, watching them in zero-G right now, working their displays, it looks so easy, but we had the benefit of watching the launch team, the spacecraft team, the NASA team, everybody working here for the last weeks, working through this, and it's good to see it come out looking just so easy right now.
Yep, it's been a long time coming, and we're so excited to see them in orbit.
Dragon, SpaceX, nominal dehumidifier activation and service section Draco checkouts.
Endurance copy, VCSA will be opening advisor shortly.
Well, it was a beautiful launch from here at Hawthorne headquarters, at SpaceX headquarters here in Hawthorne. I can't imagine how the launch looked from over at Kennedy Space Center.
Yeah, pretty incredible launch. We also got to see their zero-G indicator on the screen. It looked like a little turtle, so I'd love to hear the story behind that. But an amazing launch, an amazing day so far.
Yeah, that's right. And with that, we'll go ahead and send it back to Kennedy Space Center. Daryl, how was the launch from your end?
Well, it was simply stunning. Thanks. We're back here at the Kennedy Space Center with Shannon Walker, Crew 1 astronaut, Michelin specialist from that mission. Wow.
Wow is right. I mean, it was amazing. It's always so impressive to see a launch live. And what always strikes me is you get to see it and then you hear the sound after it's gone for a few seconds. It's truly amazing.
The delay in the sound coming to us, but we're seeing the sights. And when it lifted off, there was that low cloud deck.
Yes.
So it like lit up the clouds, it lit up the ground.
It was one of the most impressive launches I have seen.
And that rumble was probably one of the loudest I've heard. I don't know how to explain that.
I don't either. I mean, it seemed louder to me than most launches, and it was really rattling this whole setup where we are here.
Just a boom. And then we saw the zero-G indicator.
Yep.
A turtle.
A turtle, of course, because there's turtles on board.
2 turtles on board, and of course, they had to convince the other 2 astronauts to let them
go
do
along with
turtle,
turtles.
right?
Right.
And apparently they did.
I don't know who won that arm wrestle, but I guess it was the turtles.
It was the turtles. All right, we're joined now by Frank Davina, ESA's program manager for the International Space Station. Thank you very much for joining us, and congratulations.
Yeah, good evening. Yes, indeed, beautiful launch. We have our second astronaut flying on Crew Dragon after Thomas that just returned last night. That was in Cologne. Welcoming him in Cologne after his space mission, and now I'm here to see off Matthias. It's great times for the European Space Agency.
What a turnaround that must have been to be in Cologne, there with Thomas, coming back, and literally just days later, seeing off one of your ESA astronauts, Matthias Maurer.
Yeah, it's a great time for us because we have 2 astronauts back to back, and we will also have Samantha Cristoforetti that will fly in April next year. So for the first time, we will have for 1.5 years permanently ESA astronauts on board of the space station. So it also shows that ESA is really stepping up to the game. We are more and more engaged in the ISS, but also in the lunar program with our NASA colleagues in the Gateway. We will have 3 astronauts flying to the Gateway before the end of this decade. we are doing a new astronaut selection, so exploration is really also taking off in Europe.
And how did you enjoy the launch? Were you watching from the fifth floor of the Operations Support Building?
No, I was actually in the LCC,
and
wow. So I was able to go outside and go on the staircase on the outside on the fifth floor there or something like that. It's really amazing. Like you said, you see the light and then the sound, and you're really on the stairs there. You feel everything rumbling. So it's a really amazing launch.
Now, you two are familiar with each other, Shannon Walker and Frank DeVinna.
Yep.
Explain that.
Well, we have a common job, and so American astronauts work with these astronauts, and so we actually go way back.
Yeah, we go way back because we were together in training, actually. When I was doing my mission in 2009, Shannon was also in training on Soyuz. So indeed, we go way back, and we have worked a lot together.
So tell me, did you get a chance to talk with Matthias before, in the days leading up to launch?
Yes, I talked a couple of times with him, not as much as I would have wanted because, again, the launch was a little bit delayed and I had to be back in Europe welcoming Thomas, but I think he's very motivated, of course. It's his first flight. It's always like this. Of course, also a little bit curious what's going to happen because it's different. The second flight and the first flight is totally different. At least for me it was, because you go into the unknown, and it's always a little bit scary to go into the unknown. You know that the people expect a lot of you. Matthias has a whole science program, not only an ESA science program, but also for the benefit of NASA, JAXA, and of course every astronaut wants to perform to the best of his abilities, and of course that also brings these thoughts with him. But I told him that he was excellent in training, and I'm sure that he will do a great mission as well.
ESA Program Manager for the International Space Station, Frank DeVinna. Thanks for joining us in the post-launch interview. We really appreciate it, and congratulations.
Thank you very much.
All right, let's send it over to Marie Lewis at the Operations and Support Building with another guest.
Thank you, Daryl. I am here with NASA Associate Administrator Bob Cabana. This is your first crew launch officially as Associate Administrator. How was the launch tonight for you?
Oh, it was fantastic, Marie. What a beautiful evening for a launch. You know, it's like I tell folks, don't take pictures, experience it. And it was another great experience seeing those four guys take off into space on top of that Falcon 9 on that Dragon. How amazing. What a great partnership we have with SpaceX to enable that. I couldn't be more proud of our team and what we've accomplished.
And we now officially have more than 600 people who have been to space. Matthias was number 600, Kayla Barron is number 601. What do you think about the trajectory that we're on for human spaceflight going forward?
Well, it's absolutely outstanding. You know, what we want to do is enable a commercial economy in low Earth orbit so that we can focus on that really hard job of exploring beyond our home planet, going to the moon to learn what we need, going to the moon in a sustainable way so that we can learn what we need to go on to Mars eventually, establishing that presence in our solar system beyond our home planet. And to do that, we want to commercialize low Earth orbit and get as many folks as we can go into space. And that's what we're enabling right now. I think it's an amazing time for America's space program. We are definitely at an inflection point on how we are commercializing space.
And how about the future of the International Space Station in particular? I know that's near and dear to you because you helped build it. I mean, on 4 different space shuttle flights, you were one of the first people to cross the threshold into the space station.
You know, I can't believe it's been, almost 23 years since that first mission, that we've had crews on orbit since 2000. I mean, anybody that is 21 years old or younger in the world has never known a time that there weren't humans living in space. So, I think it's so darn outstanding.
And what do you want to say finally to the NASA and SpaceX teams that have gotten us here today? We're in this regular cadence of missions, and also to our international partners.
Well, first off, I want to say thank you. Thank you for all your dedication and hard work. You know, this is not an easy job. It is a huge challenge to safely get humans to and from low Earth orbit. And the partnership that we have with our international partners, with our commercial crew partners, it has enabled this space economy that we have right now. I can't wait until we get Gateway around the moon. Again, an international partnership as we go back to the moon in a sustainable way. It's absolutely outstanding. So I think the future that we have in space is amazing, absolutely amazing. What a great time to be part of America's space program.
Absolutely. Associate Administrator Bob Cabana, thank you so much for joining us. And happy Veterans Day, a little early, and happy Marine Corps birthday.
More importantly, yeah, that's right, 246 years around. Happy birthday to all the Marines. And, thank you for everybody's hard work that makes NASA such an awesome place to work, #1 in the federal government. This is an amazing team, and I couldn't be more proud of them.
All right. Thank you so much.
You bet.
Daryl, we'll send it back to you.
And Bob, thank you so much. And now you're looking at a view of the first stage of the Falcon 9 rocket, which has landed back on a drone ship out in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. The view cut out during our live coverage, but now you see it there. It landed, and it was a beauty.
It was. That is so amazing that they do that time and time again.
It flew CRS-22, it flew Crew 3, and it'll fly again.
Yes, it will.
Now, just a quick update on the launch operations. The nose cone from the Dragon has deployed off of it.
Yep.
And so that allows it to dock.
So absolutely, that's one of the key milestones, getting that nose cone open. You've got some engines underneath the nose cone, and of course the docking apparatus that allow it to dock to space station.
That's ready to go, and now the astronauts will prepare for their 22-hour, roughly, journey to the International Space Station.
They will. They'll probably have a snack and then get some sleep.
All right. In the meantime, how about we do a social question?
Oh, great.
One last one for Shannon Walker here at the Crew 3 launch broadcast. Let's take a look, and here we go. Hi, NASA. I'm talking here from Brazil, and would you like to know, they would like to know, how it feels to observe all the beauty of the planet from above. Your view when you were looking back at Earth.
You know, it's really, really hard to put into words, but when you first get into space and you can look out and you see the curvature of the Earth and you see the land masses and the oceans and the clouds, it's a lot to take in. But it's truly amazing what you can see from up there. And as a NASA Administrator Bill Nelson said before, it really makes you feel like you want to be a good steward of the Earth, because from above you can see how fragile everything.
Absolutely. And now Raja, Tom, Kayla, and Matthias are going to see that view.
Yep.
3 rookies on board as they go on their way to arrive at the International Space Station around 7 p.m. Eastern Time tomorrow. And we are going to stay on the air for continuous live coverage along their entire ride to station through our coverage here at Kennedy Space Center. It's going to conclude. We'll turn it over to teams in Hawthorne and Houston to take us through the next phases of the Crew 3 mission, all the way through hatch opening, and then, of course, the welcome ceremony for the crew. Shannon, I've watched those ceremonies on TV, but you've actually done it. There's a lot of like air hugs in space.
A lot of hugs in space. It's really nice to greet a new crew coming on board and seeing your friends coming across the hatch. It's special.
And for those of you watching online on YouTube, take a look at the description below. You will find a new link for the Crew 3 Coast Phase. That live coverage will continue at that location in just a bit. If you're watching on NASA TV, you won't notice a thing. Coverage will continue. And also, we want to let you know that there is a post-launch news conference. It is scheduled for 10 p.m. Eastern Time right here on NASA TV. Again, a post-launch news conference scheduled for 10 p.m. It will be on a teleconference, I'm hearing, not on NASA TV, but you can go to NASA Go Live. You'll find it there. And you can find mission updates on Twitter along the way, at NASA, at SpaceX, and on the web at nasa.gov. And before we sign off, of course, I want to thank astronaut Shannon Walker for being here. Thank you so much. It was such a joy to have you here, answering questions, giving your insight, and watching the launch with you.
Thank you very much. It was my treat and my pleasure to be here.
Make sure you come back soon and watch another one.
I will do it.
All right. Huge thanks also to all of our guests for joining us today, and thank you all for watching. We're going to leave you now with highlights from the journey to orbit off Earth for the Earth. I'm Daryl Nail for Shannon Walker. Good night, everyone, and keep looking up. And there's a wide shot of the room with the 4 Crew 3 astronauts. We have Commander Raja